and welcome to today's video. My name is Grace and I make content all about motherhood and life in between. In today's video I'm going to be sharing with you 5 good kitchen sink habits to keep, including how to prevent your dishcloths from getting smelly. The kitchen sink is a really important part of everyone's homes, especially for those of us like myself who don't have dishwashers. So keep on watching to hear my good kitchen sink habits. Okay, this has been something that I have been doing for the last 18 months or so now, and I have not had smelly dishcloths ever since I've been doing this little routine each night. This is to stop your dishcloths from getting smelly each day, because dishcloths are so easy to get smelly and dirty, but if you follow this every single night, I can guarantee you your dishcloths will not get that horrible, nasty, mildewy dishcloth smell. So what you want to do is you want to get some disinfectant. I use Zaflora. I do prefer not to use bleach. If you don't want to use a chemical based cleaner, you can use something like a natural soap powder. Another thing that I make sure that I try and do is to just get the tap running so that the water's really hot, because that's a natural way of killing off bacteria. So you want to run your tap in the middle of your sink if you've got this part of your sink like I do here. At the end of the day, once you've done your washing up, for those of us like myself who don't have a dishwasher, let that bowl fill up and then submerge your cloths in the middle with that disinfectant, or however you have chosen to wash your cloths. Give those cloths a moment or two to sit in the water there, and then once they've been sat there for maybe a minute or so, I just like to give them all a gentle squeeze so that all of the disinfectant in the water gets into the cloths and you're just giving them a nice clean basically. Then comes the important part. This is to wring out all of the cloths really thoroughly. If you leave too much water in your cloths, that's when the germs and bacteria are going to spread. So basically damp cloths are like a breeding ground for bacteria and stuff like that. So you really want to wring the cloths out as much as possible. This is just a good habit to get in with any of your cloths, even if it's not the end of the day. Always wring out all of the water as much as you can, but especially at the end of the day, just give them an opportunity to sort of air dry and stop the bacteria getting in there. I'm just really squeezing all of that disinfectant out of them. The next thing you want to do is then let them air dry overnight. So I usually do this on a radiator. If you live in a nice hot country, you could always just leave them out overnight on a washing line, but we don't live in a hot country here, so I put mine on a radiator, which is usually quite good in winter because they get dry quite quickly. So it just gives them an opportunity to dry out. Something that you don't want to do in between using your cloths, like during the day, is to leave them in a bunched up heap like this in the sink, because when they're wet and damp, as I say, they're just going to be a breeding ground for bacteria. In the daytime, you want to hang your cloths up with something like this. I have a really good setup. I have copied this from Mrs. Hinch, so I use these command hooks and then these little pegs, clip type things, to hang up my cloths during the day when I'm not using them, because again it gives them a chance to sort of air off. They're not sitting all bunched up in the middle of your sink. Okay, my second tip is to make sure that you always use separate cloths for separate jobs. So for example, I have a scourinky type cloth thing that I'm using here in my sink. I use this for like greasy jobs, or if I need to like sift the sink down. This is the sort of cloth that I use for that. And then I also have like a separate toothbrush that I use in my kitchen if I just need to do any sort of vigorous scrubbing. And then I like to use this pink cloth I have pink for the sink. That's how I remember it. So if I need to like do any disinfecting around the sink, that is what I use that cloth for. And then obviously I've got a dishcloth for doing dishes. I've got a cloth for wiping down the sides, stuff like that. It just stops that cross-contamination from taking place, and you know exactly what each cloth's job is for. These are great, these sponges, at wiping up damp areas in your kitchen. Then another tip that I have is to clean your washing up bowl daily, particularly if you don't have a dishwasher and you have to do washing up like we do. It's just important to keep that bowl clean each day, because it's surprising if you leave it for a few days, the sort of build up that you get on there, and you're washing up all of your things that you drink and eat and all that stuff out of. So if it's dirty, it's not going to make your dishes very clean either. Then another thing that I like to do is to wash over the hand soap each day. If you think about it, the dispenser on your hand soap gets a lot of traffic, especially in your kitchen. So if it's dirty and not disinfected, it's not doing much good. So I just like to keep that clean each day as well, at the side of my sink there. Last but not least, this is something that I've only recently started doing, now that we're doing a lot more hand washing and stuff with the way the world is these days. I have started keeping a hand towel in my kitchen for hand washing. So I'm not using like a tea towel to dry my hands. My tea towels are literally just for drying my dishes with now. So once I've washed my hands, whether I'm cooking or like in between preparing meals and stuff like that, I've got a hand towel there for me to just dry my hands with. I keep it at the side of the sink, and I just think that it's a little bit more hygienic than using your dish towel. And then once I've finished drying my hands, I will just roll it back up again and leave it at the side of my sink for whenever I need to wash my hands again. And I just think this is a really good habit to keep, preventing that cross-contamination from happening. Okay, so there you have it. They are my 5 good kitchen sink habits that I like to live by. Let me know if you found this video helpful. I'd love it if you would hit subscribe if you haven't already for similar content to this, and I'll see you again really soon. Bye.